YouTube, we are live, and Facebook, we're live. Thanks so much for everyone to joining this. This is the Startup Business Q&A. Normally Q&A, it's now going to be a special this week, so we're going to cover something a little bit different. As I've said before, because this is episode 65, I've done this plenty of times in the past, it's normally questions each week, and if you have a question that you want to ask, either watching this now or as watching the replay later on, pop a question in the comments and I'll be able to pick them up retrospectively, no problem. But today's a bit of a special. We do this every so often. Instead of a format of you ask questions and I answer them, it's more a case of saying, well, let's have a bit more of a focus on some actual value in the direct sense of learning from some maybe mistakes or something I can maybe feel is more teachable in a session like this. So yeah, thanks so much for joining in, everyone. And so what I'm going to do today is cover 5 common mistakes that entrepreneurs make. So the thing is that for many years I've worked with entrepreneurs, but also business owners, because there are slightly different things there. And those with more established businesses often have, a great thrust in terms of the business product or the service they're offering. But often there are some serious mistakes that are so common. And it's like when you change that, when you organise your world so that those mistakes aren't happening, so much can improve. And so what I've done is I've thought today about the 5 fundamental mistakes that business owners and entrepreneurs are making. In 2017, a lot of people have an online business or bricks and mortar business, it doesn't matter, but these 5 things are as essential as it gets. And if you weren't doing these 5 things, you tend to find you're in a much better place. The thing is, it's usually an emotional driver. That is the reason why people do these 5 things. And what I'm talking about here is people like to sit in that comfort zone and say to themselves, do you know what? I don't quite want to do what I really deep down need to do, because I feel a little bit more comfortable doing this, this and this instead. So I want to really attack those 5 things. So this isn't to get at people, but it is to say I've made a business and a living out of helping people build their businesses so that they are not one of those high statistics of building a business and you fail in the first year. It's about getting impact and getting results, and these 5 things are the differentiators usually at the base level. It's the things that help people get ahead. So first one, no particular order, but if you're taking notes, the first common mistake that entrepreneurs make that you should be really trying to avoid is social media vanity. Social media vanity is as simple as looking at vanity metrics. Now, vanity metrics are looking at numbers that don't really mean so much. And I'm talking specifically here about things like likes and clicks and shares and comments. It is exceedingly rare that, and exceedingly exceptional, that you need those vanity metrics for your business to be effective. So the first mistake that people are making is looking at these metrics. And what I'm specifically talking about is, you put out a piece of content and you are checking in every 2 minutes to see how many likes it got. Yes, it is a good way of gauging how something is, resonating with your audience, but you shouldn't have the numbers in terms of likes and hearts or shares or whatever as the main thing you're targeting. What is essential is conversions into revenue or moving the person from that first stage of viewing content or viewing an advert into the next stage of your funnel, whatever it might be. For a business person to care deeply about how many likes a post gets is missing a point. That is a step. It is a signifier of if that piece of content is maybe popping a bit more. So the way to look at it is you use vanity metrics. So you use things like likes, number of likes on your post, number of comments, number of shares. You use that as a barometer of, relatively speaking right now, is this post performing better or worse compared with usual posts? Not, I feel more comfortable when I get 40 likes, so now it's a good post, and therefore if the previous post got 20 likes, I don't feel very good. That's absurd. What matters is really looking at where you are in terms of a new post going out and improving or being worse in performance than a previous one. Your post should be going out with some kind of purpose, but what's essential is you may be testing things like, you know, time of day when you're posting, maybe a different demographic, maybe a different region or something like that. And vanity metrics can help you get a sense of who might be, you know, if it was resonating with people. But here's the thing, it takes one guy to buy your stuff and you feel great because you've now made a $4,000 sale. That person might not have liked your post. So liking, likes of posts and things like that, or hearts on your Instagram pictures, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And my point here is that you can use them a little bit here and there as a little bit of a gauge of how they're performing, but focusing on them. I mean, people are literally like all day long checking the posts I've sent out. How's it going? Have I got anything? Oh man, it's been 2 hours and I've got 6 likes on this post. It's consuming people. My advice is try it. It's actually really liberating. Is unless it's something particular you're doing, a good idea is to say, do you know what? I'm going to post right now. I'm just going to put in this microphone. I'm going to post right now, and I won't check its performance until 2 hours from now. And that checking of the post will be to see if there are any comments, and I can engage with people then and see how that goes. But what I'm not going to be doing, excuse the sound on Facebook, what I won't be doing is checking every 2 minutes just to see if I got a few more likes. It's absurd. It doesn't directly generate me more business. And the bottom line is this: when you're starting out, it's far less important than other stuff that you should be more concerned about. So get off the social media vanity thing. You know, the number of subscribers you have on your YouTube page, the number of subscribers you have on your fan page on Facebook, the number of followers you have on Instagram, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter until you're at a stage where you're operating at a very high level, you know, where you are very well recognized in your space. Well, you know, then you can say, look, I've got 2.1 million Twitter followers or something like that, and you can leverage that, and that can help you with building business and things like that. But until that stage, go build, you know, go do other things instead. So that's the first one, and it had to go first because it's something people do too much. Check yourself. You really don't need to look at those vanity metrics too much. Second common mistake that entrepreneurs make is along the same lines, and it's that they don't put the necessary effort into content. Okay, so across social media, we'll stick on social media here, what's happening is there's a recognition by entrepreneurs that they need to post daily. Okay, consistency is king in the sense of, you know, if you post for a week and then you just drop off for a couple of days, people just forget who you are. You have to constantly be there. A post a day isn't usually enough. You need to be doing several just to make sure that you're, you know, making sure you're top of the people's pile. And, you know, if I do a post on Instagram, by the next day that post is long gone. In fact, a couple of hours later, people aren't really seeing it so much. So you need to constantly be putting a noise and a message out there. But the problem is filling that gap of, oh, I've got to put out a post, is often met with, oh, I know, there's a quote, I'll just grab that and stick it on and I'll leave it at that. And the thing is, it's not calculated enough. And one thing, I mean, I have experimented huge amount over years, and I've worked with people who are trying all different things with their social media. And what's clear is that, for instance, if you take Facebook, a few very well-placed, well-written pieces of content will destroy 10 pieces of content across a day that are kind of mediocre. You know, oh, there's a nice GIF, or there's a nice image that has a quote on it, and I'll get loads of likes from it. The thing is, if you can put more effort and time into 3 pieces of content, for instance, on Facebook, and that content tells a story and resonates with your demographic and that particular niche you're targeting, and indeed it kind of helps move your story along. It kind of, it very much resonates with your world, and it says a lot about what you're doing, and, you know, it has some depth to it. You're going to do so well. And, you know, the best content I get results with, and I'm not talking about vanity metrics, I'm talking about people seeing the content, respecting me more, seeing me maybe as a thought leader if they do, or something like that, but more specifically connecting with me and saying, I saw your article on this, it really made the difference, can we talk about how we could work together? So leads converting into sales, it's long copy. And I'm not even talking about images, and that's why blogs are so important still, written word. And the thing is this, here's my theory on it, it's that when you have a following of people who spend a bit of time with you, and you have these people in orbit around you, so maybe they've seen what you're up to a few times, maybe they stick a bit, they're quite keen, and they spend a bit of time with your content, they respect you, they follow you, they've got notifications on, whatever it might be. When you write long copy, they want to read it because it's from someone they respect, and it doesn't matter if you've got no image. And here's the real detail about it, it's actually really unique because most people don't bother to put in all that effort. If you talk about being above the noise in social media, what it is being above the little bits of content that fire out all the time, which don't really say much, and you're essentially looking the same as other people. Think about an entrepreneur. I will win, I'm motivated, I'm going to be a billionaire, tag a friend if you're going to be a billionaire, who's going to be a millionaire by next Wednesday, say hell yes if you are. That kind of thing has its place in certain groups and things like that, I get it, because you want to kind of build a certain type of audience, but in terms of being recognized as an authority or a respected person in your space, you will sound identical to 99% of all the entrepreneurs out there if you follow that. And if you can sit in that general vibe but produce real content with depth that maybe is 500, 1,000 words or something, even on Instagram, the amount of reads you get is crazy. And my point is, you're now positioning yourself as someone who's actually got something of their own to say. Sure, when we all write content, we're actually not that original. We're kind of, to a degree, regurgitating what other people say or putting our own spin on what we kind of know already. That may well be the case, but to sit and write something of your own, that gets a load of shares, and then people are like, who's this guy who actually has something to say? Of 1,000 people, when you're the one that actually writes something, you just stand out because you're the thoughtful, measured one. You're the one who actually has their own thinking. And, put a picture up, put a caption up or something like that, but be a bit more measured, be a bit more profound and interesting, and suddenly you're separate. So if you're going to do content, think about putting that real effort into it. It does make a huge difference. And like I say, the long written copy is the thing by far and away that I get most engagement and conversions and certainly leads from. And you pepper it you punctuate it with other types of content as well, video and things like that. But doing the things that most people don't do, even a live video like this, every week being live on Facebook and on YouTube, virtually no one really does it, relatively speaking. Out of 100 people, less than one probably bothers to do it. And so you're the one that's different. And then everyone else, they're posting a picture of a lion. I mean, have you done this today or last week? A picture of a lion and go get it and hashtag real talk, whatever. If you're doing only that, you're actually wasting time. You might as well not do it, because what you end up doing is you go back to that first common mistake. You get loads of vanity metrics. You get 100 people liking it. And what happens is that it makes you do it again. And it makes you think, this is working. I'm getting loads of attention. But what's happening is you are getting people who scan through, oh yeah, that's motivation, and move on. And I think that probably people are quite numb to this stuff, but they feel that will help them motivate themselves. So actually you're perpetuating their lack of action as well. Just stop for a moment, think about it. If you did 3 posts a day and each of them was thoughtfully written, you'd probably get a lot more. And I mean it, I'm proving it by testing it. I get so much more engagement as a result. And engagement, leads and conversions, what you should be really caring about. Vanity metrics, as I said, mean very little. So they're the first 2 common mistakes, they're very linked together. The third one can kind of link on it, but one of the most common mistakes is that, especially early on, entrepreneurs do not focus enough on new
engagements. So take the second word first. The engagements is about people engaging and having a conversation, responding to a comment. Because someone dared to actually say, I have an interest in you, I'm going to write something, you need to respond back. Everyone, whoever comments, you should always respond to them, because they're daring to do that. At the start, you need to say, you know what, thank you for stepping out and actually writing something. People are interested in you. Don't feel entitled to the degree that you don't bother responding to people. It's far more impressive for you to reach out and say, hey, you know what, I really respect that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for your support. Thanks for your following. It builds a relationship then. And if there are no engagements, then you can't hope to convert anything. And even if you don't convert someone right away, it might be across a year. You're getting disciples, you're getting people who are keen on your space and into what you're doing because you're engaging with them, you're giving them some value back. Okay, then they'll keep coming for more, then they'll share, then their friends come, then you get a message, hi, I heard about you from this guy, I'm interested in buying this, or whatever it might be, okay? But also, as well as engagements, it's new engagements each day. It might be that you connect with, you're in a Facebook group that's relevant. It might be that you then see people commenting in that group and you connect with those people. You have a few mutual friends, you're in a similar group, you both like that niche, you add friend, and now you can add that new connection. You send them a message straight away. Do it 10 times a day. Not, hey, buy my stuff. That's ridiculous. You will fail doing that. It needs to be something along the lines of, hi, I saw you in the same group, okay? I loved the comment you wrote about this. How are you? Then just have a conversation, It's how you should start. It's about, that's how humans would interact, in a social outdoors or in a bar or something like that. So that's exactly how you need to do it here, because this is called social media. So new engagements every day. If you had even 10 new people each day that you start a conversation with, just 10. You do it online, so you can do it, in a half-hour slot. Just bang out 10 messages and then have, harvest them across the day. In a month, that's 300 new people. Okay, that's 3,600 new people that you're directly engaging with in a year. Huge amounts of people. What that allows you to do is bring people into your space, be a decent person, add some value, be a bit of an expert, maybe help them out. You are going to then help yourself convert more. But what happens is you get a lot of people who do that at the start, then they generate a bit of income, then they drop the ball. At all stages, every day, you need to be remembering that the most important thing for a business is to acquire new businesses. New customers even. And what that requires is new engagements. Yes, from yesterday you may have some legacy, you might have some pipeline, people you've spoken to, people are interested in, you need to follow up with. Good. But in addition, you should be asking new people how they're doing and bringing them into the fold as well. Always new leads coming in. And I call them leads, but new people, new contacts. Because for everyone that's kind of losing interest or getting bored, you bring on another 10 every day, and it means you've always got that, that food to feed you, if you like. So you just make sure it's engagements. And so many entrepreneurs, ask yourself, have you engaged with even one single new person today? 10, just 10. I often suggest, say, 20 or so, but 10 a day, brand new people, is an intelligent way to engage. Go to Instagram. When you posted on Instagram last and you got 4 people like you, if you go on your phone, you can like their comment. So not like you, 4 people who maybe comment on something. You can like their comment, then reply. Hey, thanks so much for the message. And then click on them and send them a direct message. Not buy my stuff, I'm looking for associates for my business and I can give you $1,000 commission. Don't sell them stuff. Start a process of having a conversation. Connect with the human first, socially, and then you go from there. It's really simple, but people can't be bothered. And what's happening is the number one thing, which is customer acquisition each day, is being forgotten in place of the glamour stuff, which is taking selfies and things like that and looking at vanity metrics. There's no point looking at if you got 50 likes on your selfie when you're not engaging with anyone new directly. If someone dares to say, hey, I liked this, or thanks very much, or even a thumbs up, get in touch. Thanks so much, and then take it from there. So engagements is essential. The fourth common mistake is a little bit broader now. We're not talking about just social media, of course. We're talking about the business in general. And when you're launching a product, something that is tremendously common and people have to get over is that look, the thing is, I get it. It's your baby. You've worked really hard on it and you want to make a load of money from it. But it's very important to understand that if you focus on profit from your selling your product and not on the real problem, you may think the real problem is you're not making any money. The real problem isn't that you're making no money. The real problem is your obscurity. So instead of focusing on profit, you focus on dealing with the fact that you're obscure, no one knows who you are. Let's call it abundance. Abundance is what you need, not profit. Abundance means everyone knows about you, okay? You're everywhere. So what's far more important when you launch a product is instead of trying to sell that one guy so you can make a $200 margin on the sale, is, you know, because you may take 2 weeks to make that sale, get it into hands, okay? As much as possible, even if you're just running at a cost. I know there's different strategies here, right? But I've launched enough products to know that if you can get it into people's hands, even if you give a few of them away for free, suddenly people start talking. Not least because if people like you, look at it this way, right? You've got, if you read things like Crossing the Chasm, then you'll see, like by Jeffrey, can't remember a second, but Crossing the Chasm, you'll find that you've got a huge amount of people out there who are different types of people. Those that follow you are broken up into different groups, and there'll be a hardcore of people who really love you and who are early adopters, and if you fire out a new product, they'll jump all over it. Those people you need to get your product into, because not only are they early adopters, but they also love your stuff. The kind of early adopters who love your stuff are the ones who will like it even before they've tried it. They want to like it. And they're the people who were going to start crowing about how great it is, okay? And so what we need to be doing is getting your product into people, because then everyone knows about it, they start talking about it, you get testimonials, and then it allows you to sell more of the product. There is where your profit is. So leave money on the table, lose out, make a loss for a bit, you know. This is a journey. It's not like you have to make profit immediately. If you take that route, then you start getting people talking about your product. You start getting advocates and testimonials for your product. What then happens is that people want to buy it, because social proof now is in play. You've got people who other people trust, who are hearing, oh, there's this product and I want to buy that as well. And it's not you talking about it, it's other people saying, you know what, I love this, okay? So focus not on profit at the start, but focus more on beating obscurity. That's your real problem, okay? So the way you do this is you say, you know what, I've done this recently with Monetize You, and it's really helped. I gave away a beta test, so it's half price. And I had a load of people buying into that. They're my early adopters. Then I gave away a few, it was like 5 copies of the course for free. Those people talking about it as well, and so on. There's a number of things you can do there, but focusing, I'm not interested in making profit now, because I know it always comes later. What I'm focusing on now is building some hype, getting people interested in it, and then people come to you and start wanting to buy it even more. That is the way to do it, okay? So let's recap quickly. The 4 so far, the 4 common mistakes are social media vanity. You've got to avoid looking at those numbers all day long as if they mean something. They don't, except from very exceptional businesses where for some reason that is actually important to them. But it actually doesn't matter, because what you need is the people who convert and become leads, not how many likes you've got on a post. The only real day-to-day value in that is looking at the analytics. How many people liked this post compared to that post that I did? Okay, not some arbitrary number. Oh, I love it when a post gets 80 likes. That makes me feel like it's decent. No, what matters is who's looked at it, okay? The second one is no effort in content. You've got to put more effort into the actual content you produce. Be more of a thought leader. Nowadays, you've got to talk about your world and what your world looks like. I'm a lot more busy on Instagram stories now. If you're not with me on Instagram, check out the Richard Moore, so the.richard.moore, and you'll see me there, because that's where I have Instagram stories and I have basically what's going on during the day. And you've got to document what you're doing, because people are then going to buy into you more on a social level. But more importantly, show the audience you've got that you know what you're talking about and you know your space by actually writing something. Okay? The third common mistake is you don't focus enough on new engagements each day. You've got to get in there, make sure every day it's new people you're connecting with, even if it's 10. The problem is, 3 weeks later on a Friday, have you bothered to continue it? What it should be is a year later, you're still there every day, 10 new people. And that means that by then, only 10 a day means you're over 3,500 people that year that are now engaging with you and you're connecting with. Some may fall by the wayside, some may become cheerleaders for you, and of course plenty will buy from you because they're just like you. That's how it works. Fourth common mistake is not focusing enough on beating obscurity and becoming more abundant and are well known in your space. Instead, people are trying to focus on profit. And what happens is they're hammering away, not letting anyone see their product or service until they get a sale. What you should be doing is just trying to get it in people's hands. If that means giving away a few for free or at cost or at a reduced price to begin with, I have found that's far better. It doesn't have to be forever, it could be for a few weeks, but get the ball rolling. Unless you've got an audience already, well then that's no real problem, okay? Certainly when you build an audience, I've found that it's easier then to throw a product on the treadmill because it's already moving and then people will go buy it. But to start with, you got a 8-step startup, 73 lessons, which is, it's something like 50 hours of content. When I first produced that, I was selling it for like $7 for the lot. And it was lifetime access and people were diving over each other. I was selling hundreds of units, and the reason why it worked was and I made money from it was because so many people knew about it and was, they were talking about it because everyone was accessing it. For equivalent of, it was for $7, people are like, hell, why not? Might as well try it out. And then of course, if it's any good, which it was, people were buying into it. And the fifth common mistake before I finish up is something that is really difficult to do if you're the kind of person that has a lot of kind of a control focus on your business. This is me many years ago. I was very much, I found it hard to let go of certain things. Like I knew if I did something myself, it'd get done right. As in, it would get done the way I wanted to do it. But what happened was I was held back because when it came to building a website, it wasn't quite as good as it could have been. When it came to design work, it wasn't quite as good as it could have been. When it came to working with Twitter, I didn't quite understand some of the basics back then maybe. And what you need to do is bring in people who know what they're doing. And so the fifth, common mistake is that people don't outsource enough. And what it is at the start is you don't have the time to be doing everything. You need to do your best to use what little time you have to do the things you're really good at. And so what I'm talking about is if you need a website being built, which you probably would, get someone to go do it for you. If you can't afford it, then get someone who will do it better than you but doesn't cost as much. Then level up as you go. And maybe you don't have to pay them. Maybe you offer them something else. Maybe you offer them your product for free in return for doing a website or something else. But, using other people in a virtual assistant kind of sense almost, and outsourcing to them the little tasks or even the large tasks that they can take care of, ideally because they're an expert in that space, is a huge win. When you get over yourself and recognize that actually it might not be done exactly how you'd do it, but actually it's probably good enough. And in many cases it's better because you've let go and you've let an expert go do it instead. And then what I love about this world is in 2017, you've got access to everyone online. If you know where to look, on social media, you've got 2 billion accounts on Facebook. You've got 17-year-olds who know how to do coding. You've got 22-year-olds who are epic at Instagram. You've got 18-year-old girls who are crushing it on YouTube. Reach out to these people, give them some value, maybe you have to give them some money, and in return, they can guide you a bit and make sure that all the points of your business are working. It's idiocy to try and do the lot yourself when there's so much talent out there in this kind of ecosystem in terms of entrepreneurship. There's so many people out there who can help you with it. So I strongly suggest that if you're doing everything on your own, take a hard look at yourself. It's a big mistake because you're going to find you're not freeing up enough time to do the things that really matter. Okay, because you'll be doing a lot of the grunt work that can be outsourced to people who really love what they're doing and want to do that kind of grunt work, are good at it as well, and will probably do it in a fifth of the time for $100 or whatever it might be. Maybe it's someone helping you write copy. Maybe it's someone helping you do in sales or marketing or whatever it might be. Maybe you go get one of these social media agencies that are popping up every 5 minutes, and that's because they can just take the brunt of the work for you, and it means you can focus a lot more on the stuff that really matters. So I really hope that helps. Social media vanity, no effort in content, no new engagements, profit over the importance of abundance, and of course not outsourcing tasks. Those 5 things are the common mistakes I'm seeing entrepreneurs making all the time. If you're not sorting out those mistakes, you're not as effective as you might be. Are there other things? Of course there are, but it's important to get this stuff right. I'm talking, of course, at the very beginning, but it may be later on you're still doing the same kind of thing. So ask yourself, really, am I spending time doing the right things here, or am I falling into the trap of these mistakes because they are wasting time, or at the very least they're not as productive as they might be. So if you liked this, then do go ahead and like it. Thanks so much. If this is valuable to you, go share it. If you didn't like it, you know what to do. But leave me a comment. What other mistakes do entrepreneurs make? It'd be interesting to hear what you have to say. Thanks so much for joining in. If you have any questions, even though you're watching this in a replay, no problem at all. I can catch up with those comments as we go. But otherwise, thanks so much for watching. As always, it's been episode 65. I'm really enjoying it. And thanks everyone for YouTube as well for joining in. It's great to see people watching through the stream there instead of just on Facebook as well. Have a great Monday. Have a great week. I'll catch up with you soon. Bye-bye.